There have been some iconic world champions throughout WWE history, from Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker to Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle. These wrestlers defined their respective eras and had an incredible finishing move to go along with their character and persona. However, there are those former world champions in WWE that had a questionable finishing move. To say that their finishing move is weak and unmemorable would be an understatement. This would often detract from their matches in a huge way. Now, this list will examine those wrestlers who held a WWE World title, so this relates to the WWE title, WWE World title, and Universal title exclusively. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 former WWE World Champions who had terrible finishing moves. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. Number 10. Jack Swagger. When Jack Swagger won the world title following a successful Money in the Bank cash-in in 2010, fans had no idea what to make of Swagger as world champion. Swagger was a decent wrestler but lacked any sort of personality or presence that made him a viable world champion. This was especially the case when you consider the sheer amount of talent that were on the roster at the time, including John Cena, Batista, Triple H, Edge, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton. One of the things that held back Swagger outside of this distinct lack of credibility was his finishing move. Swagger would use a gut-wrench powerbomb as his finisher, which would often look sloppy upon execution and fail to gain a huge reaction from the fans. To make things worse, as Swagger's run was finally coming to an end, he would introduce the ankle lock as his brand new finishing move. This was a much better move for Swagger, but it was sadly too little too late. Number 9. Sergeant Slaughter. In early 1991, WWE made the bold move to move away from the Ultimate Warrior being the resident top guy in the company and instead opted to go back to Hulk Hogan as their chosen guy. To execute this shift, WWE would have Warrior drop the title at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view to Sergeant Slaughter. The decision to make him the new champion was a questionable one, but one that WWE saw fit if they were to revert to Hogan being the ultimate babyface at the upcoming WrestleMania. During Warrior and Slaughter's match at the Rumble, Macho Man Randy Savage would interfere and hit Warrior with his Royal Scepter. This allowed Slaughter to use his secondary finishing move, which was an elbow drop, to secure the win. This elbow drop is without question one of the weakest looking moves ever. It looked absolutely horrendous, and it's unbelievable to think that a wrestler actually won WWE's top prize with this move. Number 8. Braun Strowman. One of the criticisms often directed at former WWE Universal Champion Braun Strowman is that his finishing move absolutely sucked. His finishing move is a running power slam, and since he began using the move, it's failed to make a lasting impression. Strowman would even use the move to win the Universal title at WrestleMania 36, and even then he needed to perform several power slams to put down Goldberg. It was almost as if WWE knew that Goldberg losing to just one of Strowman's finishers would make him look insanely weak. The finishing move lacks everything a strong finishing move should have, and it's time that Strowman introduces a brand new move into his arsenal. Number 7. Mark Henry. Speaking of former WWE World Champions who used a lackluster power slam as their finishing move, Mark Henry used the world's strongest slam throughout his career. This move is incredibly underwhelming, especially when you consider Henry's strength. Henry had success with the move mainly thanks to a combination of strong branding and credible selling over the years by top WWE names. His secondary finishing move, the Big Splash, isn't even much better, and it's another move that's an anticlimactic end to a thrilling match. When Henry won the world title in 2011, he would use the world's strongest slam to win the world title from Randy Orton. Even then, the move lacked a sense of finality, and Henry had to rely on WWE's commentary as well as Orton's selfless selling to make the finish work. Number 6. The Great Khali. Now, in terms of the worst world champions in WWE history, the Great Khali is certainly up there with the very worst. Khali had one single run with the world title, and this came in 2007 after injuries to Edge and Undertaker forced WWE to go in a different direction with the world title. In relation to Khali's finishing move, he's used several different moves throughout his career. When Khali first debuted in 2006, he was using a big boot as a finishing move, and this would be the move that he would use to defeat The Undertaker at the Judgment Day pay-per-view. Khali would then introduce the Brain Chop and the Punjabi Plunge into his arsenal. The Punjabi Plunge was a move that Khali would use during his infamous 2007 reign, but this was such a dull finishing move and another example of Khali's in-ring work not meeting the high standards of the Ruthless Aggression era in WWE. Number 5. Mankind. A WWE Hall of Famer, Mankind won the title on 3 separate occasions during his career. Only one of these wins came as a result of him executing his finishing move, that being the double arm DDT. Foley used two different finishes as the Mankind persona, and one was the Mandible Claw and the other was the aforementioned double arm DDT. Now the issue with the DDT in particular was that the move looked really weak and didn't have a high impact in comparison to finishing moves around the time such as the Stunner or the Tombstone Piledriver. When Mankind won the title with the move at the 1999 SummerSlam pay-per-view, fans were stunned as it was completely out of place as a top guy's finishing move at the time, and fans genuinely didn't expect it to be used to pin anyone, never mind reigning WWE Champion Stone Cold Steve Austin. Number 4. The Ultimate Warrior. Now it's well documented that Warrior's in-ring work wasn't of a high standard. Warrior relied on his charisma and energetic persona to resonate with fans, and for the most part, this truly worked. WWE decided to crown Warrior as the new champion at WrestleMania 6 in the Ultimate Challenge between Warrior and Hogan. Throughout his career, he used the standard Big Splash as his finishing move, and this would be the move that Warrior would use to win his first and only WWE title. The Splash is absolutely fine as a standard move, but as a finishing move, it really doesn't work and falls kinda flat, no pun intended. During that match, it also didn't help that Hogan virtually no-sold the move, which deeply damaged any credibility the move ever had. Number 3. Jinder Mahal. When Jinder Mahal won the title from Randy Orton in 2017, he would use his finishing move known as the Kalas to capture the title. When Mahal used this move on Orton, nobody actually knew that it was his finisher, as before the match had taken place, Mahal was WWE's resident jobber and hardly ever won a match. The move begins with a Cobra Clutch before Mahal executes a slam. The move doesn't look great, and some wrestlers have struggled with how to take the move as it looks rather awkward to be on the receiving end of. To make the move work, it relies on effective selling, and Mahal's opponent getting great height on their jump, but if this transition is sloppy, the move can often look botched. Number 2. The Rock. Any wrestler outside The Rock would have been unable to have gotten away with using an elbow drop as their finishing move. The Rock debuted the move in '97, and in theory, the move is just literally an elbow drop, but The Rock's theatrics and mannerisms leading up to the move have resulted in it becoming one of the most iconic moves of all time. According to Triple H, The Rock began to do the move as he wanted to make The Undertaker break character and laugh, so this means that the People's Elbow was never supposed to be taken seriously, but it just took off with the fans. The logistics and reality of the move should be raised. After all, if this move is so deadly, why doesn't every wrestler on the roster just use an elbow drop as their finisher? The move has been presented insanely well throughout The Rock's career, and it never would have worked if top stars at the time didn't sell the move with true intensity and meaning. And number 1, Hulk Hogan. It's crazy to think that one of WWE's biggest stars of all time simply used a leg drop as his finishing move. Hogan's leg drop of doom has won Hogan countless WrestleMania main events and countless world titles. Hogan's leg drop is no different from a leg drop seen in any other wrestling match, and it's unbelievable that Hogan managed to get the move over and keep the integrity of the move intact for decades. Well, the reality of the move is that it lacks any element that makes a finishing move stand out. That's a sense of uniqueness. A leg drop can be found in every wrestling match, but Hogan's version of the move seems to have a special power attached which results in nobody ever kicking out. Interestingly, Hogan actually regrets choosing the move as his finisher. This isn't because the move is underwhelming, it's because it's caused him immense pain over the years due to taking the leg drop bump for decades. But there you have it folks, 10 WWE World Champions who had terrible finishing moves. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.